Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Hope everybody's enjoying time with family, and hopefully you're getting to get out there on the water. It's warming up just a little bit for you in your part of the country, and you're able to get out there and maybe catch the first bass of the year in your state. But with that said, let's do the top 3 baits right here for the month of January. First, I want to announce our December winners. I've got them right here on my phone. We just randomly went through there and picked Megan Witt. Thank you so much. You mentioned that you really enjoy the channel, but you say you've not had much luck on a jig, but don't give up on it because you're saying you're not. A jig is like a bait that's in this rod box over here year round. Please, please keep trying it. Don't give up on that, Megan. So let's go to the next winner. We got Ground by Gravity 918. Thanks for the ideas. Your content's top notch. Ground by Gravity. And Megan, you guys got to send me an email. And Mark Maines, thanks for the video, Edwin. Learned a lot. I appreciate you guys leaving those comments. Just for doing that, I'm going to mail you the December baits. Just go to my website, leave me an email with your address right there, and please say December baits on it. This is the January video, but you're winning the December baits if you go in there. Okay, so with that said, starting this year, we're gonna give all the baits away in a Plano tackle box. Really, really cool tackle boxes. The Edge, open them one-handed. They've got a water wick protection. They're completely customizable. They're sealed all the way around it. Really, really tough. I mean, these things are like bulletproof tough. You guys that leave a comment are gonna have a chance to win a box plus the baits that we're going to talk about today. So let's get into the baits. January. Man, January can be like super cold and tough. January can be good. It's just like one day's good, 3 or 4, 5, 6 days is bad, then you'll have another decent day. It's just keep that in mind. And when I approach January, a lot of times I want to approach it with the aspect of trying to cover as much water as I can, because the more water I can cover, the more opportunities that I make, the more casts I make, the more opportunities I have to put it in front of an active bass. That's the key there, an active bass, because there's a lot of bass. A big vast majority of them may not be active. They may have ate a big gizzard shad the day before or last night, and they may not have to eat. Their metabolism's not near as fast. It's kind of like us, you know, around Christmas and January, Thanksgiving, we're all eating and sitting around watching, you know, TV, so we're not burning as much calories. We really don't need to eat as much. The bass is similar in that aspect when that water gets really cold. But when they decide to eat, they're gonna eat and eat with a vengeance. So I've got a few baits here that I am always going to have in my arsenal as far as covering water, and that's going to be a jerk bait. And we're really going to dive off into this jerk bait, and we're going to talk about colors. You know, I had a post a few weeks back, you know, just trying to get y'all's brains around choosing jerk bait colors to your conditions. You know, and I've always said in everything I do, in a jerk bait, choose a transparent one for those really clear water days and those sunny days. And when I say transparent, when you hold it up to the light, you can see through it. You know, that's just a bait that you're gonna have more success on. It just, you know, fishing grand. I can remember back to filming out there for a Bass Pro television show, and I was throwing my favorite color, which was this one here, just the basic white one. And man, they got off of it on the exact same spot. I picked up a transparent one and I went to murdering them just again. And it was just a clear, sunny, very, very, very clear water back in the day on Grand. It hadn't been that way in a long time. But man, they just started biting that. So it's just it's a bait that when you're starting out, think about your conditions. Clear baits, transparent baits for those really clear water days and those sunny days. Then, like, you know, if I had to choose the MVP or all around, you know, like this one right here is a really great color. It's just a basic white with an orange belly. I just like that color. You know, this is going to be for more stained water, more of a cloudy conditions in clear water. This is a great bait. If I got sunny conditions, stained water, or even dingy water, this is going to be a great bait. So, you know, for me in and around Oklahoma, this is one of my favorite colors. And then last, I've got just a foil-sided bait here for those really dingy days, dingy water, sunny days. You know, like when that water gets dingy, like this dingy, that's the bait I'm gonna throw. It's gonna give off a lot of flash just like a spinnerbait blade, yet I can hold it still, twitch it, gives that flash off, makes a big presence in the water in those stained conditions, And you know, that's the one I'm going to choose. Now, all three of these baits are the +1. You know, for January, a lot of times I want to get that bait deeper, and that's what that longer bill does right there for that +1 application. Throw these baits on 10-pound test. 10-pound fluorocarbon is a must. If I'm really trying to get it deep, I'll go to 8. You won't ever see me throw these on 12 anywhere that I fish around this part of the country. You would see me use 12 if I was maybe in East Texas trying to keep it above a grass bed or keep it up shallower just a little bit, you know. One thing I really like about the new Berkley Stunnas, these jerk baits here, you know, over some of the others that I've talked about in the past, you know, the cutters and that stuff, these actually sink slow, and they're designed to do that. You think about a shad dying in the wintertime. You know, it makes a twitch and a twitch, and then it's just gonna start sinking really slow. A twitch and a twitch, and then it starts sinking really slow. So one, that really imitates a shad dying very well by it sinking. Two, it gets that bait deeper. That is such a key this time of the year to get a bait a little bit deeper. So keep that in mind with these baits. And one of the things that I always like to do with them, when you know you're jerking it, and you let it pause and it's been sinking, then give that thing an up jerk. You know, everybody jerks down, and that's great. But then give it one up jerk, and it's like that shad all of a sudden has this last, you know, fleeting strong moment to get away. You know, a fish is sitting here looking at it, and by you jerking that bait up, man, it's all it takes for that trigger, that bass to come up and eat it. You know, it's just a, you know, if you could picture 2 or 3 bass sitting there and the bait keeps doing the same thing, you know, you're jerking it, getting a little lower, and then all of a sudden it's like the shad tries to get away. One of those 2 or 3 bass is going to come up and eat it, if not all 3 of them try to. So keep that in mind. I use like a 6'9" medium action rod. I use a high-speed gear ratio reel. These baits come with really good hooks. You know, they're the EWG style hooks. Yeah, that's the main thing about it. You know, I'm not a guy that's going to let that thing pause forever. You know, there's times in the past where people really let those things pause for minutes on end. You know, you'll see me let it pause for 7, 8, 9 seconds, but I'm not ever going to let it pause for 60. It's just, I got to figure out a different way to catch them if I'm going to do that. But yeah, a jerk bait, that's a bait you're going to have tied on. You're going to have it tied on back in December, you're going to have it tied on in January, you're going to have it tied on in February. These are some colors that I use, transparent for those sunny, clear water days, solid colors for those cloudier or dirtier water days, but a great bait come January. For us all to throw. Okay, then next, let's talk about, you know, a jig. We always talk about a jig. A jig is a great bait to throw. We talked about that in December. And that's one thing in my videos, guys, depending on where you're at in your part of the country, you know, check the December video, check, you know, maybe even the November video to fit where you're at, because everybody has different windows of when this stuff happens depending on how far north you are, how far south you are. I know you get really far north, you guys are gonna say, man, we got ice on the water. I don't have any ice jigs in the boat. But a jig would be a great bait. But another backup bait to a jig would be a Ned Rig. It's just a great finesse technique, you know, like for your table rocks, your beavers, your grands, your Lake of the Ozarks, your Hartwells, anywhere really. I mean, heck, I've seen people, you know, far southern lakes throw a Ned Rig. It's just a great finesse technique that makes me move a bait slower. You know, so many times, you know, I talk about, you know, having to cover water, but yet I need to cover water efficiently. If I'm moving the bait too fast, and I do that a lot with a heavier bait, when I drop down to a 3/16 ounce head or an 1/8 ounce head on a Ned Rig, I have to move it slow to keep it on the bottom. That really helps me. I'm gonna throw this on 6 and 8 pound fluorocarbon tied to braid on a spinning rod. You know, I've got a couple different things to choose from here. I've got the Little Trooper, you know, like a brown orange, a hot crawl. One of my favorite colors, it's green pumpkin on one side, then with a little lighter orange gold flake on the bottom side, just a really neat color. But this is gonna be something that would be a bait that you're gonna find in this rod box over here in January, in February. You know, if I'm got that really calm, still day, no wind, and that's a day that we fish in the winter because it's so cold. You gotta think about that. We're not going out there on those super windy days. So the days that we're able to go is those really dead, calm, still days. And a lot of times that may be in really clear water, say like on Douglas or Cherokee or Grand or Table Rock. This is the bait that I'm gonna pull out of this side of the rod box. I'm gonna put a light weight on it, let it go to the bottom, and just drag that thing around. You will get bites on that bait, I promise you. All right, lastly, another bait that we need to talk about is, you know, something along the lines of that Ned Rig, you know, and basically what that is taking like a twitch-tail minnow, like what I've got right here, and just rigging a jig head on it. So you're gonna take this jig head right here, you're gonna rig this on here, and then you ask, what do you do with this bait? Okay, so I get this rigged on here. It's important to have a very short shanked hook. You know, this bait's only 3 inches long. Okay, so there it is right there. That a lot of people call a Ned Rig. That tournament over on Table Rock, that $1 million tournament, you know, it was one on a bait really similar to this. And it's a bait that I'm gonna tie on a spinning rod, 8-pound test, and a couple different ways to fish this. So when you start to go back in those pockets and you see all those shad out in the middle in that 20 to 30 to 40 feet of water, over deeper water, I will just cast that thing and just let it fall on semi-tight line. And it's just a bait that just falls down through the shad, and when it gets below the shad, a bass will eat it. Another way that this bait really works is just like a drop shot. Just when you get overfish vertically, you just drop it down there and you just hold it. You know, your line's tied right here and you just hold it, and you might shake it every now and then, and you got this little tail doing its thing, and it's just basically just a drop shot, you know, just on a jig head and a worm. You can just give it a little bit different action. It also can get you some bites as that bait's falling, just a little bit different profile to what those fish are seeing. But you know, that rig right there, just a jig head on a straight tail, twitch tail minnow, works well. You know, I've got a couple different colors here, you know, they call this opening night. It's just a blue with a silver. I've got just more of a white color here, and then I've got just a smelt color. Basically, you know, just something minnow, you know, something that represents a minnow. You know, I don't think it needs to be like this exact color or this exact color, because when you get down there 25, 35 feet, I don't think there's a big difference in a lot of colors anyway. So just put something on that's gonna represent the size shad that you're fishing. Put something on that doesn't have a lot of action. You know, this just has a little tail. It doesn't have a big kicking action, doesn't do anything else. It's just a very subtle action as it's falling through the water. Be sure you got a very short shanked hook when you go to tie one of these on. You know, if you get too big a hook, it's way back here in the back. I like a really short shanked hook. I'm gonna use like a 1/4 ounce head most of the time. There are times I may go up to a 3/8 ounce head, but a 1/4 ounce head seems to be the right head for me right there on that bait. So guys, that's the 3 baits that I want to tell you about, maybe to have in your arsenal when you go out fishing this January. You know, one thing to keep in mind when you're fishing this January, try to find the cleanest water. Fish in cleaner water are going to be easier to catch in colder water. Okay, so I mean, just to talk about that a little bit, I always think the colder the water is, the cleaner the water I want it to be to put the odds in my favor. You know, there's no worse scenario than cold, muddy water. I mean, it's just, for me, that's a really hard scenario to catch fish in. So try to find the cleanest water on your lake, focus on those lower ends, and these are the baits that I would be using, you know, trying to find fish with that jerk bait, that Ned Rig on the bottom, and then that little Ned Rig with that twitch tail minnow, you know, just casting it out there, letting it fall through the shad. But guys, leave me a comment. Be sure you're a subscriber. We will mail out these baits next month when we do it all over again, top 3 baits in February. I thank you guys for following along, and I want to wish everybody a Happy New Year.